Welcome back to our second playthrough of Atlantic Chase from GMT Games, and we're doing the solo scenario B3, which is the Bismarck scenario. It's actually called Operation Rhine, but it is the Bismarck scenario, and we will jump right back into the action. Weather stays good as it has for most of this scenario. So now the British come down here and are rolling on the British action table, and they get a 2 result, which is, they get a 3 result. We now have a +1 modifier because at least one convoying play is dispersed. It doesn't actually change the result. We get an X result. So the British are going to attempt to intercept. Now let's find out who is going to attempt to intercept. It is the nearest task force with a battle cruiser. So that is going to be relatively obvious. So narratively, in terms of the game, the Bismarck in this area of the Atlantic Ocean right here attacked the convoy. The Hood and the Prince of Wales nearby are then steaming over to attempt to bring the Bismarck to battle. So we have coordination going on with this task force is in the hex. I'm not going to bother putting active task force and coordinating task force down because there are no trajectories, so it doesn't really matter. But so the British will have a +1 to this roll for that. They will have a +2 to this roll for coordination in good weather, and the Germans will have a -1 to this roll for the evasive maneuvers marker that was on their task force, which they will now spend. So even so, this is likely going to result in a battle between a very historical battle between the Hood, the Prince of Wales, and the Bismarck and the Prince Eugen. So we are here on the engage table, and we're rolling with a +1. 12 is a surprise. Now, however, the Prince of the British task force is not faster than the German task force. The Hood is fast, but the Prince of Wales is medium, which is the same as the Bismarck. So we are going to set this up on the battle board, and we'll go from there. All right. So because this did not come about as a result of surprise, both forces start in the far zone. So one of the things that means is that we're going to be rolling 3 dice because we are at extreme range in this case. And then the Germans in this case, facing a larger force, the Germans are actually going to be the ones who make smoke. So everything here will be at a -1. Okay, so let's start with the Germans. And I think we will target, unlike history, we are going to target the Prince of Wales because it is by far the more lethal ship that we are facing. It is also slower than the Hood, so we will give it a chance, or we will go after it because, well, actually, I suppose that doesn't really matter in this case, but I'm still going to go after it because it's the most lethal ship. It has the best gunnery factor. So the Bismarck has a +2, -1 for the smoke. We are rolling 3 dice, and we are keeping the lowest 2 dice. So these are the lowest 2 dice with a +1 is +2 for gunnery, -1 for smoke. That is a 9. So the Bismarck, in fact, actually plunks a hit onto the Prince of Wales. Interesting. Now the Prince Eugen, they have no modifier for gunnery, -1 for smoke. So they're rolling 3 dice. And their lowest 2 is a 7. That is not going to result in a hit with that -1. So now the solo rules say that when you are set up like this, if they've got 2 ships, they're going to basically split their fire. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the Prince of Wales fire at the Bismarck. I think that makes sense to have it fire at the more lethal target, which is the priority, and the Hood will fire at the Prince Eugen. So the Prince of Wales is firing at the Bismarck, and it's basically the same shot that the Bismarck took, which is +2 for gunnery, -1 for smoke, rolling 3 dice. And unfortunately, the Prince of Wales is not as lucky as the Bismarck, so it does not get a hit. Now the Hood is going to be going after the Prince Eugen. This is an even die roll. The Hood has a +1 for gunnery and -1 for smoke. And with a 6 as the best two results, they do not score a hit on the Prince Eugen. All right, so now we maneuver, and the Hood and the Prince of Wales will move themselves into the near zone. And the Germans, I think, are going to attempt to break this off. Now, this is going to be an even die roll because there's a -1 because they have a ship in the near zone. It's at a +1 because -1 because they have a ship in the near zone. They do not have a faster enemy ship, and all of my ships are in the far zone. So this is at a +1 for the Germans to break away. So with an 8, we do not, in fact, break away. So the Germans make smoke, and we will move to round 2. So to begin with, in round 2, the Bismarck is going to once again target the Prince of Wales. So +2 for gunnery. -1 for smoke, and we're only rolling 2 dice this time because the Bismarck is at long range. So with a 9 result +2, the Germans have now damaged the Prince of Wales. So that's going to be worth a victory point to me. We're going to wait until we actually do that to deal with that. And then the Prince Eugen is going to take a shot at the Hood. It is at a -1 on this roll. So no hit on the Hood from the Prince Eugen. Now, we will repeat what we did last time. The Prince of Wales will fire at the Bismarck. Again, it has a, same as the Bismarck, it has a +1 to the roll. So an 8 is just not enough to hit the Bismarck, unfortunately. And the Hood will fire at the Prince Eugen. This is an even die roll. The Hood has gunnery of 1, -1 for the smoke. And again, not quite good enough to hit the Prince Eugen. So with that, the Prince of Wales is damaged, which severely reduces its effectiveness. We gain a victory point for damaging a battleship. And now, in the maneuver phase, the British will retreat with a damaged ship. The Hood will move in. It doesn't really matter, but they will move in. And then the Germans will stay where they are. So we're going to stay where we are. I'm going to continue to make smoke because the truth is, at this point, with the Prince of Wales damaged, I'm more interested in leaving. And in fact, now that I think about this, the British are going to attempt to break away because they have a damaged ship. And as the Germans, if I agree to that, we will simply break away. And that is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just simply going to agree to it. So the Hood and the Prince of Wales put everybody back onto their respective task force displays. And now one thing I realized is I had made a mistake in the previous thing. After a battle, you're supposed to give contact markers to the forces that were involved. So the German task force technically should have gotten a contact marker when it battled this convoy the last time. It wouldn't have mattered because there would have been a +4, but I had still rolled a surprise result for that combat. So it was the same functional result because the surprise didn't matter. But I am adding the contact markers now, and that's a rule I need to tuck away for the future. So that was the result of an engage action. So now we vie for initiative. And the Germans will take the initiative back. So now we will roll for the weather. and the weather does not change. And so what the Germans are going to do is they're going to stay in this hex for the time being, and I need one more hit on a convoy to get to 7, which will get me 10 victory points. After which I will feel comfortable sort of beginning to sort of move the Bismarck towards the end game. So I'm going to attempt to an engage action with this convoy. So this is on the 0 column, and I've got a +4 because of the contact marker, but I do have a -1 because they have a coordinating task force. So an 11 result is surprise. All right, so we're lined up now on the battle board. We have the Romillies and the dispersed convoy in the near zone because it's surprised. There's no smoke because it's surprised. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by having the Prince Eugen fire at this dispersed convoy. I only need 1 hit. So if the Prince Eugen can get a hit, then I can have the Bismarck train its guns on the Romillies and see if I can get lucky there. So the Prince Eugen has +2 for the very slow convoy. And that is enough to get me my final hit on a convoy to get my maximum victory points. So now the Bismarck is going to attack the Romillies, and it is getting a +3 to this roll. +2 for its gunnery, +1 for the slow on the Romillies. So with an 8, that gives me an 11, which is only enough for 1 hit. So now we go to maneuver, and the British will obviously move back to the far zone, and the Romillies will make smoke. Bismarck and the Prince Eugen are going to pursue. Might as well pursue. But now the Romillies and the convoy, they're going to attempt to break away, and I'm not going to just let them. So this is, once again, an even die roll. I got -1 for my ships here, -1 for being faster, and +2 because they are both in the far zone. So breaking away. They do not succeed in breaking away, so we're going to have another round of combat. So the Bismarck is going to fire on the Romillies. This is only a +2 this time. So we got 2 for the gunnery, 1 for the Romillies being slow, but -1 for the smoke. So +2 to this roll. So 7 or higher gets me a hit. Well, that's 2 hits on the Romillies. And I actually stand a chance of sinking the Romillies now. And the Prince Eugen is going to fire. This is an even roll. And the Romillies is going to end up sunk because on its backside, it only takes 2 damage. So it's got 4 damage, which is the total I need to sink it. So, but the Romillies does get to fire back. So the Romillies is firing against the Bismarck. This is at -1. But unfortunately, British bad luck continues. And so I actually get 3 victory points for sinking the Romillies. And at this point, I might as well stick around and go after this convoy and just pile up the hits. It doesn't matter in game terms, but what the heck. But the convoy will first try to break away. And actually, the convoy will actually break away. All right. Well, we are definitely within shouting distance of a win here, despite what's happened, the sort of much tougher early start. But now we have the British will vie for initiative. And the Germans will maintain initiative. So we'll move the tally marker up by 1. And then what the Germans are going to do with that initiative is they're going to head for one of their rendezvous zones because they need to take one off the map in order to sort of end the scenario. So I'm going to remove that. Let me just make myself a little bit of room here. So this convoy, this is going to head here. Just clean up these trajectories a little bit. Oops, too far. So the Germans will make that trajectory, and then they will time lapse. So in good weather, 1, 2, 3, contact marker comes off the board, and with the time lapse initiative passes back to the British. Oh, I didn't actually, hang on. I didn't roll for the weather for the Germans. So that was actually good weather. So let's actually see. Sorry, that actually changes the weather to bad, I should say. So with that, I need to roll for how many trajectories I take off. And I actually take off 5. So I'm going to take off 2 more. And we have bad weather, and the initiative is passing back to the British. But we're going to stop the video here, and we'll come back to it with the next British initiative. Thanks for sticking around to the end of this video playthrough of GMT Games Atlantic Chase, the Bismarck scenario. Hope you're enjoying the video, the playthroughs, the channel. Please leave comments with suggestions on things like games that you'd love to see come to Agility Snips gaming table, or improvements that can be made to the channel. But we will see you in the next video on Agility Snips gaming table.